Hey folks, welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Listen, this video is not to piss anybody off. It's not meant to piss anybody's cornflakes or upset anybody. It's meant to clarify. So I ask the people listen carefully to what's being said here, okay? Not an attack on anybody, but clarification. I think there's been some miscommunication or misunderstanding. It's important to clarify that. So unfortunately, the interview that we planned with Corne Mulder and with Theo DeJager last week while they were visiting DC didn't come to fruition because of scheduling conflicts, unfortunately. So I'm on the back foot in responding to comments that were made in an interview the three of them, along with Gerard Poppenfuss, had with Alex Hogue of BizNews. So I'm responding to that. So that's the context. I haven't had a chance to speak to either of them or any of the three to clarify that, but I want to be very clear about something here. So Theo DeJager talked about the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. And he said some of the following. First off, I got to thank him for telling the truth, which he wouldn't do anything else but tell the truth, but for clarifying what I've been telling people for months. Donald Trump doesn't get his intelligence or his information from Elon Musk about South Africa. He's not influenced by Elon Musk about South Africa, nor is the Department of State. The Department of State is full of smart people that know what they're doing, that know South Africa very well, as is the rest of our intelligence community, which informs the President and the Department of State, which has its own intelligence bureau, by the way. So I appreciate Theo DeJager pointing out that the officials that he spoke to were very well informed on South Africa. They're not exactly clueless. Not only do they understand South Africa, but they understand the Southern African Development Community and Africa, and thank you for that. I've worked with many of those colleagues. So I appreciate that. But the comments about AGOA left me puzzled because they can't possibly be correct. I think there's a miscommunication and misunderstanding. He said that they brought up the topic of AGOA, and they said, is there anything we can do to save AGOA? To which they said, yeah, we must still decide on it. Well, I don't really understand what that meant. We must still decide on it because there's no legislation pending. There's no legislation on the floor in the House or in the Senate. Last year, in April, Senate Bill 4110 from April of 2024, the AGOA Renewal and Improvement Act, was introduced by Senator Chris Coons, and it's languished. It's gone nowhere. There are currently over 7,300 bills in the House, in the Senate, but only about 7% of those bills will ever become law. The chances of a bill being introduced by a Democratic senator during the Biden administration to renew duty-free access to America when Trump is imposing tariffs on the entire world is not remote, it's impossible. It's simply not going to happen anytime soon. That bill will die eventually. It's just languishing there. So I don't understand what they mean we have to decide. Who has to decide? The President, the White House, the National Security Council, the Department of State, they have no say in this. No say whatsoever. The bill must be brought before the President after having been signed by the House and the Senate, where it's not making any movement. Then it goes to the President for signature and become law. Then the State Department can implement it. Then Homeland Security can implement it. Then the Executive Office can implement it. But there's no law. The existing Africa Growth and Opportunity Act expires on 30 September. That's the last renewal. It's done. It's dusted. I don't understand what the officials told Theo DeJager. Maybe there's misconception here. And I think there's a miscommunication because there is no AGOA. AGOA is dead in 90 days and it's not coming back. Not unless it finds a sponsor that isn't named Chris Coons in the Senate or someone in the House that's a Republican. It won't come back. So maybe they told them more in the conversation that maybe there's some legislators they're talking to that want to renew it or come with a new bill in the next Congress. But this is dead, folks. There is no AGOA. And that's a bit puzzling. I'd like to know more about what they told Theo DeJager because he says the bullet is not through the church when it comes to AGOA. There's something that can be saved. Well, you can save a trade relationship, but not with AGOA. It's gone. It's not coming back. This is why it was critically important for South Africa to have a bilateral negotiation with the U.S., which hasn't happened. And you're going to get slapped with 31% tariffs. And yes, I understand officials don't want to hurt ordinary South Africans, but the President is the Commander-in-Chief. He's the Chief Executive of the Executive Branch. He has the authority to impose these tariffs. And until the ANC starts playing ball, things aren't going to change in the White House. South Africa will soon be receiving its letter from the President congratulating him for the ability to do trade in America. And here's your tariff, which at the moment is 31%. We'll see what happens after that. Again, folks, I don't know what they told Theo DeJager. I don't know what they told Corne Mulder. I wasn't in the meetings and unfortunately didn't have a chance to do the in-person interviews here in the States. It didn't materialize last week. So I'm only responding to the comments I heard on BizNews. So I will allow that I didn't get the full story. But what I can tell you for sure is that there is no one pushing for legislation to renew AGOA. It's gone. And in 90 days, it will be history. There is no way that a bill to give African countries duty-free access to America is going to get to the floor of the House or Senate, go through both of them, go through committees, and be sent to the president for signature before 30 September. So what can be saved? Nothing can be saved. Now, perhaps what they're indicating, that what they were signaling is that they're willing to negotiate and work with South Africa to keep the tariffs low or to save agriculture. That may be the case, but it won't be AGOA. AGOA is gone. Stop pinning your hopes on a non-existent piece of legislation because it's dead on 30 September. So you heard it here. You can disagree with me, but you're welcome to go look up the 7,300 plus bills before the House and Senate and see that this bill is from April 2024 and it has not gone anywhere. Just like the Afrikaner Act that Troy Nehls has introduced, that's gone nowhere either. That was introduced earlier this year. It's kind of racist if you ask me because it only affects white South Africans instead of all racial minorities, but that's neither here nor there. But the Afrikaner bill is going nowhere. And also the effort to sanction senior leaders in the African National Congress and in the government of South Africa for their actions against human rights. That was introduced by the former surgeon for the president. And it's going nowhere either. Ronnie Jackson from Texas. That bill is going nowhere either. So people need to stop assuming things. Unless it's a law, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now, Trump could decide tomorrow that no tariffs against South Africa. But do you really think he's going to do that with the likes of Cyril Ramaphosa walking around, telling jokes all the time, laughing? I thought they pulled a Trump on me. They dimmed the lights. No. You think that's going to happen with Ronnie and Mullah going to the press and saying the United States apologized for not coming to the Sherpa conference? No, because that's a lie. The United States provided professional courtesy, sent a letter and said we're not going to be able to attend because we're at the NATO summit. And Ronnie Mullah told the press, as if people in America don't see the media from South Africa. Clueless. Anyway, I don't know what happened in those meetings. I wasn't there. All I can tell you is based on the comments I heard in the Biz News interview, there's clearly miscommunication or misunderstanding of how the law works in America because AGOA is dead. If it comes back to life, I'll be happy to say it is. I've been a big proponent for AGOA for the entire lifespan of it, 25 years of my life. AGOA has been there, and it's helped a lot of people in Africa. But unfortunately, it's dead. There are no champions carrying the standard to get it across the finish line. What say you, South Africa? What say you, world? Cheers.